Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast. This is the Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast.
G'day guys, welcome to the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. I've got an amazing guest again today here at the Ethereum Summit, and I've got Brook from MetaX, mate. You've got a lot to say, and I want you to do your own intro,
Sure.
So do it for me.
All right, so, well, thank you. My name's Brook. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called MetaX. We're a blockchain technology company based out of Santa Monica, California. We've developed, alongside Consensus, our technology partner, we developed a technology called adChain, and we launched adToken, which is the intrinsic token of adChain, early last year in June. And so that's kept us busy. We've launched adChain on the mainnet, on Ethereum, just a few weeks ago actually, so it's really exciting to be live in production. And so we're one of the first dApps on Ethereum to go live.
Well, what was very interesting before we had a bit of a pre-chat prior to putting the mics on was the journey that you've taken. It started in one place, and with your background being where it has been in the advertising space, and obviously a serial entrepreneur, serial entrepreneurs, we tend to pivot. We create things that we don't set out to create when we realize the problem needs to be fixed, because sometimes we run into things and go, well, this needs to exist. It doesn't, we make it. So what was that solution you came up with? Because I found that fascinating, quite inspiring.
Well, so yes, you have to be responsive to the market, and there was a lot of pivoting, I suppose you would say. And it's really kind of emergent with how the technology has developed. And so I'll kind of give you a little bit more background.
Please do.
My background's in ad tech, and so running a programmatic video trading platform, there was a lot of issues that we saw in the industry, like lack of transparency, lack of security. There's a lot of fraud in digital advertising. And we couldn't solve the problems using the existing technologies that were available to us, and the tools that we were paying for didn't fix the problems. And so we're like, what can we do? And then we came across, Bitcoin and the Bitcoin blockchain and this technology, this distributed ledger technology about three and a half years ago. And so that was exciting because it showed promise, but it wasn't ready for us yet. It wasn't ready given our use case. And then only until Ethereum came around, where we could actually program smart contracts and program money to incentivize behavior, did we realize that, okay, there's a business here. And so I saw the opportunity to, I guess, pivot from traditional ad tech to being blockchain based, where I knew with Ethereum we could build a business on this and address some of these fundamental issues with this new technology. And so that's when we committed to building out a blockchain startup.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. I mean, we discussed it earlier. Events like this, the New York Blockchain Week, or everything that's going on, we talk about it, like the more and more people I speak to, Ethereum's the soil, right? We talked about it before. Bitcoin was great. Yes, you can invest in it. It's kind of like gold. Yep, gold, great. I can hold it. I can make stuff with it. Right. Bitcoin, you can't make too much stuff with it to store value, right? And with Bitcoin, it's like, yep, I get it. That's an investment opportunity. But with Ethereum, when it came along, it was the soil, right? It was the worms and the dirt. Now a rainforest is starting to grow, and it's events like this where we find more and more fantastic technology. But sometimes old school ideas or old business, already existing businesses being rebuilt in a new ecosystem, and this is the issue that we have, but it's also the excitement that we don't know what's ahead. We don't know if the sky's blue, pink, or yellow, and we're sort of trying to work our way out. How does it all? That's right.
And so every industry, it's being flipped. The paradigm shifts with blockchain, and so with Ethereum and with other emerging blockchain technologies, we get to again revolutionize these industries where we can develop similar businesses, but it's decentralized and
more efficient in many cases.
And so that's really what we're here to talk about. And we get to riff off of other people's projects and communicate, to others that this is what we're doing, and then we get to collaborate, and it's really exciting.
Now tell me, I mean, you've been in the space for a while, but you've been doing, as you said, advertising tech prior to that. I'm assuming you probably still have those relationships. Maybe some of your old buddies have come in. Are you still laughed at? Is it, it probably was crazy town for a while. Is it starting to become more respected in your industry like it is across the board?
It is. It's definitely made a lot of progress. But I was definitely in crazy town 3 years ago when I was telling my partners in the space, hey, like I would go to some of the publishers in my network, for our platform, and I would say, do you accept Bitcoin for payment? And they're like, no, like pay us net 60, pay us net 90 in dollars. And a few of those publishing clients came back later. It's like, we probably should have taken the Bitcoin. I'm like, well, yeah. So they're coming around.
Yeah, it is an evolving space, and it's moving at a rapid pace right now. And I think what we're seeing, some of the terminology that I've learned, I'm an investor, I'm a trader, I've been in crypto for a small amount of time compared to the rest of my career, but I've seen an opportunity here, much the same as you have, mate, in the space that you look at it and go, we are still, I just had an amazing person on from Microsoft who said, I said, are we 2000 into that, or are we 1993? He said 1993, which is where I think we are as well.
Who was it? Kale or York from Microsoft?
No, I had York.
York?
Yeah. So
he said 93?
He said 93, right. Which we like that, right? That's good, because it feels like 93.
We're
still struggling to get
York's
through
son,
things.
York the fourth, is actually working on our project.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that's pretty cool. So that's what I'm talking about. That's the fun part about this space. Is the collaboration.
I was going to say, I've never been in a business industry where people are so willing to help each other. Now that's going to change. But for the time being, it's a wonderful little ecosystem where we are trying to help each other. Now, tell me more about your business, about the token, about what you're trying to achieve.
So adChain, so we started building adChain again to fix the supply chain for digital advertising, and we, from the project, we set out to solve this problem. And one unique thing that emerged from the technology is what's now commonly known as a token curated registry. And so we have a registry of reputable listings, like publisher domains, and an advertiser registry of reputable advertising, listings. And we're going to build a decentralized advertising technology stack and marry demand and supply for digital advertising in a trusted, decentralized way. And so that's the goal, is to create a new ecosystem that's sustainable and honest and fair and transparent and secure and all the things that we lack today, and provide an alternative to some of the other dominant systems out there. And we all know who they are. So that's been our goal. And so. But what's the interesting part is, again, this tokenized registry, we're starting to see that get traction in the space. So I think at Ethereum here alone, we saw, I think, 3 presentations on token curated registries. And there's been a lot of other teams and projects that are starting to integrate this new crypto economic primitive into their business model. And so it's pretty cool.
So, I mean, from obviously a lot of the listeners, a lot of the viewers, they're in this position right now where they're looking to place their money. Obviously, I do carry a lot of investor people watching and listening, a lot of traders that are watching and listening. There's tech people as well, but what I'm trying to get at is, with your token as it stands and with what you're trying to achieve, how do we always talk about the dynamics of the project and the token itself. Now, I want to help people to understand how these two things come together and how an investor can have a positive outcome aligning itself with someone like yourself. How does it work in your case?
So I read a tweet a few weeks ago, and I forget who said it. I don't know who said it. I would love to give them credit, but what the tweet said is, an entrepreneur dreams of making $1 billion. A blockchain entrepreneur dreams of having 1 billion people use their protocol. And for me, that was powerful, because I was like, holy shit, that's right.
That's
like,
it.
And that's the difference. And so with being a blockchain entrepreneur, it's really about, you can create a public utility, but it's going to be open source, but it's going to make, it's going to help people. And it's going to be valuable because you can start building and monetizing on top of these protocols. And so when you look at it through the lens of an investor, in many ways, yes, it's like buying stock in a company if you buy a coin or a token, but then there's the difference between a security token offering and like a utility token. And so just because this is what I'm doing, adToken is a utility token because it's intrinsic to the adChain system. So if you remove adToken from adChain doesn't work. And if you value using adChain, then you'll need this token.
So say that again, because that's really important. If you remove
the token from the technology,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So this is what's really important in my view. It's not just a money grab. It's needed to work within the system, as opposed to we're just going to put a token out to fund whatever we want to do. And that's a difference that I think is really important, that people focus not enough on, does a token actually need to work? Is it a utility or is it just a money grab? So that's you just hit the nail on the head from an investment point of view, in the sense that, okay, if I believe your white paper, if I go and look at all the information and I look at that and go, you know what, I think this guy is onto something. I think that this, with good execution, it could work, good team, yada, yada. You do your research, you work it, yes, I want to do this. then you can flip it in and go, right, I understand now what I'm investing in, essentially. It's a utility, it needs to be there, and that's a positive thing. Now, whether or not it goes up or down, the whole decision to be made is whether you buy or whether you do not buy. And that utility being there, I think it's a big positive.
You gotta do research, diligence. I mean, you know, there's a lot of noise.
There's heaps of noise
out there.
It's a very immature and very irrational space.
But there's some amazing teams doing amazing, you know, things, building out really technology that will change the world, and you got to figure out what's a distraction, what's noise, versus what could be a good investment.
Absolutely. I mean, look, what we're seeing, what I saw, this Trader Cobb, my show, my brand, my everything, that wasn't, like we were talking before, being an entrepreneur. I didn't set out to do this in the space. I came as an investor, I came as a trader, and I started to look around the space and go, right, who's doing what can I pick up, what can I learn? And I noticed that some of the people with the biggest amount of followers, or that had a big voice and a huge amount of following, they didn't really know what they were talking about. They, you know, might have been called like Moon Lambo or, you know, Retro Chicken or something stupid like that. They all had a pseudonym, and it was very immature. Now, a lot of people look for people to learn from, and I get that.
Right.
Are you finding in your world right now, I mean, you're a bit more connected, you know what's going on where you're at. Did you find it difficult when you first started? I mean, you started it, admittedly, not now, years ago,
Absolutely.
when it might be more difficult.
It's still difficult in a sense that this is all still very new.
Yeah.
But I have learned, you know, to look for certain things.
Yeah. Well, what are they?
You know, if you read a white paper, just do a check. Well, so I'll give you my own personal experience, you know, in my learnings.
Yep.
But what we're seeing now is there are certain standards and guidelines that can be found, because we've done enough now to know what's a good
and what's terrible, right?
Right. What's a good ICO? What's a good token? What's a good coin? Or what's a scam?
Yes. Yes.
And so there's
some people don't. They don't forget that.
True, and this is why education is so important. You know, talking about it and being very open and not just like educating and speaking this new crypto language.
Yeah.
But like explain it in a way people can understand.
Yeah.
You know, general investors, this is complicated stuff, so we want to be able to say, hey, this is exactly what it is. Yeah. And so if you look at a team that's launching a token, you know, did they just come together? Do they have more advisors than they do employees? Do they even have employees?
Yeah.
Is there an office? Oftentimes, you know, simple stuff like, is the company even a legitimate business? Did they incorporate?
Yeah.
Like stuff.
Simple things, right?
Simple things. So if you don't see that, that's a flag, you know, and you'll start to see flags left and right.
Yeah.
And some of them are very obvious. Like there's been cases where, you know, a company trying to do an ICO has like, you know, Ryan Reynolds on like the about us, or like, you know, this is our team. And it's like, you know, people that went to MIT and, you know, they just took it from their LinkedIn profile and they don't actually work for the company. And so you just gotta do your diligence, you know, talk to people, get a sense of, does this make sense? You know, is this true, or is this?
That's it. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and the unfortunate thing is, I mean, you sort of touched on it before. It's the assumption that we know. Well, we know what to look out for, but for a lot of the viewers, a lot of the listeners that are new to crypto, that are new to the space, they're interested in it.
Right.
They're still getting ripped off. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, people get excited, and excitement's a very powerful emotion, as is fear. Well, they don't feel the fear until they've had the excitement and busted their money, right? And we do see it frequently. So something as simple as LinkedIn. Everyone's got a LinkedIn. Jump up the people, link them, look at them. If they don't exist on LinkedIn, then what are they doing?
Look at the background.
Look at where they've been. Do they have contacts that are in the industry?
Is there credibility there? You know, have they done anything in the past?
Is this like nothing against being like young people? Because of course Vitalik is 19 or whatever he was. You know, is he not? Is the team full of 19 and 20-year-olds? That's okay. But do they have a chairman who might have a bit of business experience? Because we're going to run a business here. We don't just want people that are smart at tech. We want people that are smart at execution of a model. Can they bring together a model? Do they have the connections to bring this model together? And does their network within LinkedIn or their past jobs help to create the right space for this business to flourish? And you look at things like, have this person been bouncing from one job to the next the last 5 years? Or have they established themselves within that industry? I think there's a lot to be said for just simple and detailed LinkedIn searches, and also coming back to what you were saying before about, you know, silly photos. You know, if there's a movie star who's,
I mean, that's an obvious one, like I said, you know, but also check GitHub. You know, check their code. If there's no code being written to their GitHub repo, and if they say, well, it's all private, like then that's maybe there's nothing there. You know, so just protect yourself, be smart, You know, talk to people, look at the team, look at what they've done in the past, how long they've been together. You know, look at the market, like what problem they're trying to solve. You know, is there anything else like it out there already? You know, are they just copying another project? Because again, like I said, it's open source code. And so you can just take that code and
replicate it.
You know, so, and then at that point it's like execution. And the value of utility tokens is in the system, the value of the community as well. And so you have to look at what kind of community does this token or coin have, or the potential to have, and what could be the value of that community.
That's it. And take your time, most importantly. There's no rush. We're in 1993, not 2000. Take your time, make the right decisions, and keep your money. So Ken, where do the viewers and listeners find more about you, your token, and what you're doing?
So go to MetaX.io. From there, we have links to all of our channels like Medium. We have a blog on Medium, so we'll write about our work. Check out our GitHub repos. You know, we're open source, so there's a lot of good stuff in there, and we'll be happy to talk about it. Twitter, newsletter. Sign up for our newsletter. So we go to our website, sign up there. What else? I think that'll pretty much cover it.
Well, mate.
And we host events too. So we had a few blockchain events in New York here. And then in Santa Monica at our office, we'll host meetups.
So you can jump on your website, sign up to the newsletter, keep yourself plugged in across Twitter, and you guys can all find out more and more about this wonderful project. Ken, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much for being on the show. Good luck with everything. I can't wait to look up a lot more about you and what you're doing. Good luck with it.
Appreciate it.
Good on you, mate.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast. Check out tradercobb.com because experience matters.